Hello, third grade. This mini lesson is going to be on decimal numbers. So, usually I have a story problem that we try to figure out using the concept that you're learning, but I do not have a story problem this time. I just have a question. How are decimal numbers related to fractions? And with this question, we are going to find out what decimals are and then relate them to fractions. Because actually, a decimal number can be a fraction or a mixed number. You'll see why in a little bit. So let's identify a fraction number. So let's start with 3. I'm going to color code 3, and let's do 25 hundredths. This is a decimal number. Why it's a decimal number is because it has a decimal point. So let's go ahead and label that really quick. This little dot separating the whole parts and the fraction parts is called a decimal point. Okay, now go ahead and guess why I colored the 3 blue and the 25 red. Go pause the video really quick, think about it, and relate it to money and fractions. All right, now I'm going to label the rest of my decimal number here. And this 3, anything to the left of the decimal point is representing the holes, or how many holes I have. So I have 3 whole dollars, I have 3 whole cakes, I have 3 whole cookies, or 3 whole brownies. It doesn't matter. That's what is represented to the left of the decimal point. Now, what about the numbers to the right of the decimal point? They're in red. I think, well, yes, actually, no, I know that they represent the fraction part. So the red numbers to the right of the decimal point here represent the fraction part. This essentially is a decimal number, and we're not going to be focusing on the whole parts in decimal numbers. There's going to be 3 main decimal numbers that we're going to really focus on, and they're related to guidepost fractions. So let's go ahead and use the guidepost fractions and relate fractions to decimal numbers. Okay. So let's start with Let's start with 25 hundredths. Okay. So there actually is a fraction that is the same as this. Now, if you relate this to money, if I put a little dollar sign right here, actually let me do that with a scratch piece of paper really quick. Let's say that I had a dollar symbol right above that 0. Okay, does that look familiar? Yes, it does. That's 25 cents, you could say. Now, we're trying to find an equivalent fraction to 25 cents, or 25 hundredths. And you have to think, how many quarters are there? Or how many 25 cents are there in a dollar? And then you'll find an equivalent fraction. Go ahead and pause the video and try to figure it out. Okay. You probably guessed 1/4. So 25 hundredths is the same as 1/4. You'll notice that when I say the fraction 25 hundredths, actually an equivalent fraction to 1/4 is 25 hundredths. 25 over 100. So in terms of money, this is 25 pennies out of the 100 total pennies out of a dollar, related to a dollar. 100 pennies is one whole dollar. Here you can say that this is an equivalent fraction because if you took 100 and split it up into 4 equal groups, you would have 25 cents in each, or 25 in each group. Okay, let's check out our other decimal numbers. Let's go to the next one, which is, go ahead and try to guess or predict. It's another guidepost fraction. Guidepost fractions. There it is. So here we have 50 100ths. 50 100ths, there's an equivalent fraction to that too. I'm tempted to write, I'll write this one first. I'll write 50 100ths and see if you can guess the equivalent fraction to that. 50 100ths. And what fraction should I put here? Kind of like 1/4 is related to, or equivalent to 25 hundredths. So, did you make the prediction that it is 1/2? All right. So 50 hundredths is actually equivalent to a half, because 50 is half of 100. Our next decimal number that we're going to focus on is another guidepost fraction, and that is 75 hundredths. So right now you should be thinking, I'll write the 75 hundredths first. What goes here? What goes there? Related to fourths. Related to fourths. I'll give you that hint. 75 with 25 plus 25 plus 25 gives you 75. Okay, I'm not going to give you more hints. I'll just write it down. 3/4. Okay, let's take a look at these decimal numbers and how they're related to fractions. Okay, this is 25 hundredths, and this is the fraction right here. If you relate it to money, that's 25 pennies. 25 pennies out of 100 pennies is 25 cents, and that is equal to 1/4. You can think of it as in quarters. How many quarters do you need to get $1? You need 4 quarters to get $1. Let's go down to 50 cents, or 50 hundredths. What is 50 hundredths? So that's just half. 50 is half of 100. Now let's go to 75 hundredths. So just the same as the 25 hundredths. You can think of this in terms of quarters. How many 25 cents, how many quarters do we have in 75 cents? So we have 3 quarters out of the 4 total to make a dollar. And that's what we have for decimal numbers and fractions.